I'm Micaela, and I'm here to talk with you about coming up with a routine, especially during times like this that feel a bit uncertain or unsettling. So before we begin about the specifics of what you might want to incorporate into your routine, we can talk about some general items about daily living for wellness. So first, we should talk about nutrition. You should make sure that you're continuing to have healthy, balanced meals with lots of leafy greens, vegetables, fruits, and try to reduce your snacking, especially snacking that's full of sugary, high carb type foods. And I know it can be hard when you're in the house teleworking all day, but the less that you keep those types of foods in the house, the less likely you will be to be eating them during the day. So that's my first recommendation. My second is to make sure that you're getting outside, to try to take walks or even just opening the window when the weather is nice to get some fresh air. It's good to move around and just allow your body to wake up and feel a little bit of energy throughout the day. That also includes during the day when you're working. Try to take some rests to stand up, walk around, maybe make a meal or just water your plants. Something that will get you away from the screen and sitting down for just even a couple of minutes will be helpful. So beyond that, let's talk about some of the specifics that you can start to think about integrating into a daily routine. I find that having a daily routine can feel balanced, and it can help you to find ease in a day, especially when you're feeling like you're not sure what to expect or that things are very different from your normal day. And so I'll introduce a couple of the kind of traditional ritual practices that are often found in the yoga tradition. I'll also suggest a couple of other ones, and then I'll talk about ways that you can start to integrate those into your daily life. So the first one is an asana practice, is a yoga practice, or any type of movement that calls to you. Maybe that's going out for a walk or a run, a bike ride, doing a body weight exercise within your home. All of these things that will help you, especially in the morning or in the evening before dinner time, to kind of just get you up and awake and your body moving for the day. So a part of that can often be a pranayama practice, and pranayama is a form of breathing, and it can help to open the nasal passages. It can help to boost immunity. It's a practice that you can do as a standalone for a couple of minutes, or as part of a meditation, or just before you enter your yoga practice. Wherever it makes sense to do something like that, focused on breathing. A part of that, which I already mentioned, is meditation. Meditation, again, is something you can incorporate into your daily practice, even by just taking a moment at your desk or your chair, wherever you're doing some work, to roll your shoulders back and come to a comfortable seat and just turn inwards and focus on the breath for a few moments. Maybe you have a mantra you like to repeat in your head. Anything that will help you to feel grounded and release any external energy that's not serving you in the moment. You can also do more extended meditations, maybe starting with 5 or 10 minutes and going to 20 to 30 minutes, maybe even up to an hour. And feel how, as you begin to incorporate meditation into your daily life, it influences the way that you think, the way that you feel, the way that you act, the words that you speak. That's something you can start to become more mindful of and bring that mindfulness into your daily life. General relaxation as well, and I always encourage my students to take time away from screens. That's the computer, the telephone, the television, and really make sure that you're living in the present, you're being aware of your surroundings, you're allowing the light to come in. The stimulation that we get from the screens and the bright light can often change the rhythms of our bodies. But also in this time, there's so much news and information floating around. It's good to just step back and remember that that's out there, but you can just be here for a little while and maybe do something else that will make you feel calm. Make a nice meal, maybe just light a candle. Make your space feel clean and uncluttered so that you can move through with spaciousness. So then there's some other practices in the Ayurvedic tradition. These include things like self-massage. The self-massage, you often will use an oil. I use a different oil depending on the type of the year. Often I'll use almond. Right now I've got coconut oil left over from the winter. And you can do this in different ways. I often will just replace any sort of a body lotion with using oil instead. But the really traditional practice is before your shower in the morning, you go into the bathroom and with long strokes leading up towards your heart, you rub the oil all over before you get into the shower, which sounds a little counterintuitive. But when you get into the shower, that warm water kind of activates and opens up your cells and your pores. And so that allows the oil to start penetrating in, and you feel almost like a waxy coating. So that's something. You can also do it after your shower. In that case, I would just recommend doing it in areas where you're not going to immediately put clothes back on, so that you can allow the oil to settle in for a bit before you put clothes on, so that the clothes don't get too oily. Another practice that you could incorporate is something called dry brushing. You can use any type of a bristle brush to do dry brushing. This would typically come before your oil massage, and the dry brushing is just really meant as an extra exfoliant for your body to really get off the dead cells and show that skin that you can start to put the oil on to really get it to soak in nicely. Beyond that, there's other things, like you can use something like a tongue scraper that's used to just help to bring additional kind of purity and cleansing to the mouth when you're doing your teeth brushing in the morning. And other things like using a neti pot, especially if you've got allergies or you're feeling a stuffy nose, making sure that you're using a clean neti pot, distilled water, and use the directions as indicated on the box for that. And from there, I guess I'll talk a little bit about journaling and finding some books or poetry that also kind of help you balance and bring peace of mind. So a few poetry books that I really love are John O'Donohue's To Bless the Space Between Us. I just find that he has something to speak to almost any moment in life, and his prose are really beautifully written. There's also always the famous Thich Nhat Hanh, and this book is The Art of Living. He has a number of beautiful books, but this one especially I find to be just really grounding and enlightening about kind of thinking about living every day in a mindful way. And then I've got a few other books here. I've got a book of poetry by Mary Oliver, who always has just really beautiful poems, and they're mostly focused on nature and the outdoors, so they're a nice reminder to get outside and see the trees and the flowers, listen to the birds. And then I've got another book here called Nourishing the Teacher, and that can be for anyone, but it's really directed towards yoga teachers who are looking to find some grounding and practice that will help to kind of nourish yourself as you're also helping to nourish others. So as you find poems or little mantras throughout your day that really speak to you, I recommend also not just reading them, but also writing them down, maybe in a journal or on a piece of paper that you can carry with you or put on your nightstand, just as a little reminder to yourself. And I find that doing that actual copy of writing the poem down for yourself, it kind of helps you internalize it a bit more. So then finally that comes to journaling. So journaling is a really important aspect of any mindful or well-being practice, not only to help you record the practices that you've done during the day, but also just to help you unpack the things that you're thinking of. And it's kind of like a to-do list. We write down the things that we know that we want to try to accomplish, or the things that we don't want to forget, and it helps us to have a little bit of a weight taken off of our own shoulders. And so journaling can do the same thing when you're thinking about things, or you just want to hold on to a moment to look back to later. It's also a wonderful practice that you can incorporate into your daily ritual, either in the morning, in the evening, really anytime. I like to use the journal to record my practice, my ritual, and so I write down the things that I've completed for my ritual every day. Maybe I'll include a couple of things that happened during that day, and sometimes I'll write a bit more depending on if I have a certain feeling that I'd like to get on the page to help kind of just understand myself a bit more. But it's also a nice way to be accountable to yourself and tracking your routine. And if you get to the point of remembering, yes, I want to write down what my routine is, you'll remember, oh yeah, I haven't done my routine yet for the day. Let me do that so that I can be accountable to myself. I also have a lot of friends who enjoy doing morning pages or gratitude journaling. And these are different kind of techniques for meditation and well-being that can bring you joy and also help you share your joy with others. So morning pages is a practice where, exactly as it sounds, in the morning you get up and you just commit yourself to sitting down and writing a couple of pages. And it may just be anything that comes to mind, but just allowing the words to flow freely. There's a beautiful book that helps you think about this type of a practice called The Artist's Way, and it really draws you through the process of starting to think about the different prompts and cues you may give to yourself as you try to kind of have more creativity inspired within your daily living. So those are the different practices that I would recommend for yourself, especially at this time. I'm sure there's others that you can think of on your own. So the way that you can really start to make this sustainable for yourself is to gather together in your mind all of the different things that you would like to be doing. Maybe you want to be doing a yoga practice and some breathing, maybe some journaling, some using of the oil. And write down all of those and how you would do that. What's the order in which you would do them? What point of the day would you do them? Maybe you've got a little bit of a ritual in the morning and maybe another one before you go to bed. And just look at it on the paper, really see, okay, this is what I would ideally like to do every day. And then think about what your short form would be. Think about if you have a busy day or you're not quite sure if you'd have time to get to everything, what are the vital components of your routine that you really want to make sure that you get to every single day? And write that as your short form. And so that every day you can attempt to do the long form, but maybe you just get to the short form and you still feel that you've accomplished something, that you've met yourself in your routine, even though you haven't been able to do the full expansive set of everything you would like to accomplish. And maybe you'll start with the long form and you'll find it's not manageable. Maybe you'll start with a short form and find, you know what, I want to add in some more things. So be flexible with yourself, be kind to yourself, and as always, venture into the world with love and nourishing heart. Namaste.